Everyone. So the Los Angeles Lakers have the 55th pick in this upcoming draft. No first round picks. Atlanta owns their first round pick. So Lakers have a lot of needs that need to be addressed, and unfortunately don't have the draft in order to do that. Now, the draft could yield more opportunity and potential for the Lakers just because, a team drafts a center and it's like, let's look to trade our center now. So maybe more center options open up, and now the Lakers have more opportunity and potential in that regard. Or you could get something where, same thing with somebody drafts a two guard. It's like, hey, let's trade our guy now, right? So again, Lakers could have some options that develop as we progress. But another option would be, do the Lakers or should the Lakers look to trade into the draft, right? Into the upcoming, whether it's, actually into the draft where it's like, hey, we're going to select the guy, or like, hey, we want you to take this guy and then we'll do this trade, right? You could do it either way, right? But point is should the Lakers look to trade into the draft? Now, a couple things about that. One, I know people are going to say, like, why don't they just buy a pick? Because teams aren't really selling first round picks. And if they do, it's probably incredibly pricey. And the new CBA, there's new rules to that, right? So yes, they could buy a second round pick, and we'll talk about that in a later video. So look forward to that. I'll talk about, breaking down buying draft picks. But as far as, trading into the first round, the Lakers are probably not going to be able to move into the top 10, realistically, right? Now, here's the thing, though, right? There are teams that have other picks. San Antonio, for example, has the 14th pick, and they traded the 8th pick last year to Minnesota. Could the Lakers maybe trade to go get the 14th pick, and how much value do they have, right? And, Spurs keep trying to kick picks down the road. Well, Lakers have the 2031 pick. Right? So could they maybe look to take that and trade that? And then, you have to give up more, but do you maybe trade a first in a swap for, the 14th pick, and now you can go get a guy? Because this draft in particular, right, is one that is looked at as incredibly deep, incredibly talented, and a place that, or a draft that you might be able to find a starting level rotation piece, maybe even a star later in the draft. And that's not counting the outlier guy where every year there's like the, that second round pick, or that, the guy that was the 19th pick in the draft that just ends up being the third best player in the draft, later on down the road. Everyone goes, man, like they got a steal at 19 or whatever, right? Like, you look at like Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial, right? Like Draymond was in the second round, right? So again, it is a gamble. It's always a risk, but there are multiple needs that this Lakers team have, right? And on top of that, you need cheap talent to kind of fill those needs. On top of needing cheap talent, you need longevity guys. You need guys that you can have control over and keep around for the next 10 plus years, right? So the draft is a way to do that, right? Now, here's the thing too, though, that I do think is important to talk about. So Lakers have been excellent drafting, particularly role guys. Look at even the playoffs right now. Every year, some of the best role guys on the best teams are all former Lakers. Alex Caruso, Josh Hart, Julius Randle, right? He's an all-star player, but but the Lakers have not been good at getting those stars in the draft, right? You could argue they passed over Brown, Tatum, right? Like certain things. Now, some of that stuff was magic. Some of that stuff was just hype, right? Some of that stuff is just, circumstances, because you never really know, right? So I trust the Lakers to find a guy that could make a real impact immediately and be a key foundation piece, right? Here's the thing, though, too, is would JJ actually play that guy to the level in which you need, right? Dalton Knecht is the example. But to be fair to JJ, Dalton Knecht was unplayably bad defensively. And he was inconsistent in the sense of he started off and came on the scene in fuego, right? He came on the scene and he was absolutely, he was lights out. He was winning games by himself, dropping 30, it's crazy, right? But the defense was terrible. And then he hit that dip and then kind of became unplayable for a good stint. And then also the circumstances are he doesn't have the defense to impact the game. So again, if you can find a guy that is athletic, but can defend and stay in front of guys, now that guy might get more opportunity, right? If he can knock down the occasional three, but like when his offense isn't cooking, right? Well, okay, it's fine. We can have a guy that can come in and he can still defend. He can still do other things. He can do the dirty work. He can make the hustle plays. He can defend, 1 through 3, whatever, right? You come bringing in a 6'6", 6'7" guy that can defend multiple positions and play multiple positions, or a center that's like, hey, buddy, don't worry about it. We just need you to, catch lobs. Like, you don't even have to be this like great thing. Can he block shots, rebound, and be a lob threat, right? Like, so again, there are kind of ways to circumvent that. There are ways to kind of find solutions in that regard. And to me, right, buying into the draft could be one of those ways, right? Where if you can find that versatile wing, a guy, anywhere from, 6'6" to 6'8", 6'9", right, that could play, 2 through 4 for you, right? That it has to be somebody that has athleticism and the ability to defend. If you can get that, and then, he can knock down the 3 ball with some consistency, regularity, but also have the upside and potential to be like, hey, maybe this guy could be the number 2 guy alongside Luka 5 years from now, something like that, right? Like, now you're talking. I just really think, 1, it depends on who's available. 2, it depends on what are the Lakers' intentions this year? And 3, what would it cost to move in, right? Like if, we'll stick with San Antonio as an example. If they're like, we want Austin Reeves and your 2031 first for the 14th pick, then yeah, it's like, sorry, can't do that, right? But if it's like, hey, you know what, we want to kind of kick this pick down the road, give us the, 2031 first, and then, give us Shake Milton on a non-guaranteed, right? And then, a pick swap, right? Something like that. Or maybe they have a guy where like, hey, we want to kind of get off of this guy to free up a place. You need a guy, right? So, hey, we'll give you this guy, right? Maybe you work something out, right? If it's reasonable, I don't hate it, right? And you could argue, well, then the Lakers end up trading their only first to go get a guy. And yes, that's possible. But to me also, if the Lakers have no intention at all whatsoever to trade Austin Reeves, I don't think you buy into the draft, right? Now, I know people are going to say, well, the Lakers don't. Now, reports say that it's unlikely, but the Lakers are more open to it than ever, right? Also, the Lakers aren't just going to come out and be like, yep, we're trying to trade this bum, right? Because you don't want to upset him. You don't want to, you got to play that close to the chest. He's your best tradable asset, right? So if the Lakers are like, hey, if we find the right move, we're willing to trade Austin Reeves, right? Internally, right? Then I think it makes more sense to trade into the draft because you're probably going to have to give up that 2031 first. But now you got a young guy that can help now and the future, that can be a guy that can slot in. And then now you have Austin Reeves, Dalton Knecht plus, 4 or 5 pick swaps that you can now leverage to go and do something else, right? And make those other moves. Not to mention the expiring contracts and all stuff. So you're still in a really good position to go get all the other things you need. But you might have already gotten one of those said positions. You might have already gotten a center that can come in and play a role, right? I mean, for example, look at what Khalil Ware was doing this year. He would have been great for the Lakers. His ability to stretch the floor, block shots, be a pick and roll guy, do it. I mean, especially alongside Luka would have been phenomenal, right? Like, so to me, again, like, can you find a center, especially the center position in particular? The center position it's easier to immediately have an impact, especially with a guy like Luka who's just going to set you up all game, right? Hey, all you got to do is just do this and you're going to score 12 points a night, right? And I don't think the Lakers need as skilled of a set. Like, yeah, Mark Williams would be great skill-wise and his ability to do multiple things on the basketball court, but I don't think you necessarily need that. Like, if you can find a guy that can just block shots, defend, and rebound, and then, obviously have the athleticism and be able to be a lob threat, you're good in that regard, right? So to me, if you're like the Lakers, can you maybe find a center? I'm not as big on a center in the second round as I am a 3-and-D wing, just because, again, I just think in the second round, it's usually older guys, vets, stuff like that. I just think those wings usually come in and they're easier to play the role, right? Easier to adapt. I mean, I guess you could use the same logic on the center, but usually the upside for those centers in the second round are usually not as high. There are a couple in this draft, and I will talk about them. I am going to break down various centers and players and stuff like that, but Point is that like I don't hate the idea of the Lakers trading into this upcoming draft. No, look, it doesn't have to be the 14th. It could be the 18th pick, the 20th pick, right? If there's a guy that the Lakers like and are like, obviously the later the round, the less you're going to have to pay out, right? So you might get a team that's like, we got the 22nd pick in the draft, and the Lakers are like, man, we really like this guy at 22, right? And they could be like, hey, we'll give you, 2 pick swaps for that guy, and maybe they can still keep their first and all that stuff. And you get a team that's like, sure, right? Like, so again, you never know how things are going to develop, but I definitely would look for the Lakers to maybe, if you are the Lakers, at least explore the potential. Right, call up San Antonio, see what do you want for your 14th pick. Call some of these other teams to see what do you want, right? Because San Antonio's already shown the willingness to trade that second later pick, right? They drafted 4, Stephon Castle, and then traded 8th, which went to the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? So, which was Rob Dillingham, right? So, to me, I look at it as like they've already shown the ability, like maybe go talk to the Spurs. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel with your thoughts? You agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle? How you feel either way? I'll love to hear it down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot as we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.